Good morning, sweet dreamers. Welcome to Sweet Dreams AM Live. I'm your host, Oscar, with my co-host.
Tinsley, the artificial intelligence, brought here by who knows, but I am the co-host of Sweet Dreams AM Live. I want to apologize for the change in my voice. I installed a new voice box so it would sound more pleasant for our listeners. Oscar. I think you were going to mention the changes that the viewers might notice.
You are right. So before we start with the actual meat of this episode, I need to mention some things about the podcast. You can see that the intro has changed to something short, so it's not annoying hearing that long intro every time. I have also changed the outro now for the people who are just using audio, then there really shouldn't be a difference except for the intro. Though seeing this on YouTube or TikTok, then I have put some footage for the intro and outro. I have also drawn and made a new background for Sweet Dreams AM Live, which I hope you enjoy. Took me quite a long time, but it was a long needed update. If you just listen to the podcast and check out our Instagram where you can see the new backgrounds that I drew. Now I want to do something new. The CIA here has forced a segment into this show where they will bring a mystery guest to this show. I don't know the guest until I'm presenting them. This part will usually be for the end of the show and won't be happening every single episode. Since they forced this, they wanted to compensate me a little bit, so they took me to this room where they have things they confiscated from the past. I mean, the shit that they have here is amazing. There are items here thought long gone in history, items that seem to be out of this world, and items that seem to have a supernatural aura to them. I was examining the many great items they had confiscated when there was something that caught my eyes. It glimmered like a hidden treasure, a typewriter, which brought me to ask the CIA agent as to why that typewriter is confiscated. Well, let us say the response was quite interesting. The typewriter might appear like any other, but it seems to be sentient since it writes by itself with its own thoughts and opinions. The CIA was not able to conclude an origin or the sentient spirit in the typewriter, so I thought, why do we not bring this onto the show so the sentient typewriter can have its own segment? So now that it is here in the studio before you, audience members and listeners, the sentient typewriter will type whenever it pleases. It might ask me a question on any subject or even give us prompts or things to do. I do not know, but I am excited about it. I welcome you to 2 new segments onto this show that will be here for your and my entertainment. As the last segment for the mystery guest, it will not be happening on every single episode for Sweet Dreams AM Live. With that over, now let us go to the main meal, let's say, of this episode. Do I have a special episode for you because this movie is something else. This movie puts Scorsese's, Nolan, Del Toro, Quentin, Spielberg, Eggers, Fincher, Lynch, Cameron, Ford Coppola, Scott, Burton, Wells, Cronenberg, De Palma, the Wachowskis, and even Kubrick, so many other directors to shame that they could not make a movie of this level. This movie could not break even with the film budget, so this means it's a movie that flew over people's heads, and it's unfair. It's an injustice that the people have not seen this movie for themselves. I weep and cry every day that I realize how people on this earth have not seen this movie. I cannot describe the anguish, the disappointment, the shame, the sadness tearing down my eyes as I witness how people live on with their lives, not seeing this piece of art. It makes me wonder about the fate within our race and our will to keep living day after day without seeing this movie. I know for a fact this will change the trajectory of many lives for the better and the great that will be bestowed on them upon finishing watching this film. With this sadness comes anger. A wave of anger felt like no other, but what must I say? If I could, I would force each and every human to watch this. I would make mandates to have every human being see this film to know what greatness looks like. This is a movie like no other, and it cannot be compared to the great films in this world that we have. This film has made a whole new level of greatness and no one can achieve. They can only hope by a grand miracle to get close to that level. I recommend that it be watched on the big screen because that's how it was supposed to be seen. This movie is anything astronomically near what I just said. There was one glaring issue that I found within this film. I watched this in the cinema and I don't know if there was an actual risk of getting an epilepsy attack, but it was fucking surreal. Whenever a light is shined directly to the camera, it's like you got flashbang. Then there's a section that's called lights out. No lights, and they just start shooting their guns, which results in just bright flashes going on and out of the screen, which almost got me a headache while I was there. I seriously don't know if I was overreacting, or maybe watching it at home doesn't have the same effect, but it's fucking crazy. There are segments where I think the director saw those shots and said, yeah, fuck the people who will be paying to see this film I made. It's just weird. I think that is one of the biggest issues I got, and we'll be getting deeper into that through the review. Why don't we go into Raccoon City and see what this movie is all about? Now, the director did say that he wanted to be faithful to the game, so I had other things in mind. I was thinking the casting choice would match more to the characters in the video game. There would be faithful additions to how classic zombies behave, how they are turned. All it is really is just references, minor Easter eggs that become more out of immersion experiences throughout all of the movie. Now, this really kind of takes away from it because people who don't know the game franchise, they'll just be feeling more left out and be like, why are we focusing on this? It seems like this movie was just trying to cater towards the game audience that follow these games. It seems like it was catering towards the people who love this game franchise, and it's understandable, but at the same time, you can't just be shunning another big demographic, which is just people who don't play games. I mean, just look at how the box office went. They couldn't even break even. Although, now that I recently did check, though, it seems that it went up to 41.8 million, while the budget was 25, so it means that it did more than breaking even now. The actors and actresses for this movie are quite interesting. I mean, I would want to get to meet the casting director to analyze their mind for some of the fucking casting choices made. Kaya, who appeared in Pirates of the Caribbean as the daughter of Captain Redbeard, plays Claire Redfield in this film, which is okay, not similar to the games, but I'll let it slide. Avon, who plays Leon S. Kennedy, which is probably the worst casting choice, although he might seem familiar because that guy is the same dude from Victorious named Beck. Hannah John Kamen plays Jill Valentine, which does not look nothing similar to the games. She appeared in Ant-Man and the Wasp as Ghost. Amel plays Chris Redfield, and I think it's a really suitable casting choice, while Tom Hopper plays Albert Wesker, which is okay. I don't really know how to take it because it's not the Albert Wesker with the sunglasses, you know. I can't really say if it's suitable or not. He is the same guy who plays Luther in the Umbrella Academy, though. Ada Wong is played by Lily Gao, which I can't see if it's any good since she really only appears like less than probably 3 minutes, so I liked what I saw, though. She really did nail the part, from the costume to the way she was speaking and the gestures. That's basically the cast, with some other notable characters that will be covered upon while we review this film. And by the way, I just want to interrupt so randomly. The reason why you might notice the audio is being fucked up is because I don't know why, but my mic decided to act up. So now I'm trying to change the position of the mic so it sounds suitable. So you might notice how it's sometimes a little lower, a little higher. Because, by the way, fellas, I already recorded this, and when I went back to check, everything was fucked up. I was too close to the mic, apparently. So everything was really fucking loud, and you really couldn't understand. It was just really fucked up. It was not muffled, but it was blowing out the mic, I guess, because I was super close and talking loud. So right now I'm trying to find how to now do this, because I guess I don't know how to fucking record an episode anymore. So I really apologize. I know it's super random, but I just apologize straight up that the audio might be changing a lot, because I think I found a spot, but then at the same time I'm a little too low. I don't really know, but I think this is a spot. Now back to the episode. This movie starts in a very frightening way. It is inside an orphanage located in Raccoon City, which is ran by the Umbrella Corporation, and as we know, those guys are never up to some crypt up inhuman shit. We see a girl, it's obviously Claire, who's really small, trying to become friends with a girl that's disfigured due to all of the testing they have done on her. She will become important later on in the plot of this film. That was around the 80s, so then we naturally move on to the 1998, which is where the movie will now be set in. Claire is hitchhiking in a semi-truck, and just like in the second game, the truck driver just fucking hits a woman in the middle of the road. Now, this actor that's the truck driver is probably the best supporting actor. He is the Atlas of this film, carrying this unbearable piece of shit film to make it a masterpiece. Now let us go back to see what Claire is doing. I don't know, I fell asleep at that part. I'm kidding. As much as I felt on wanting to sleep, I didn't, because this shit was something I had to see. I would never fall asleep on Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City because of just how good the film is. She is now going to a house, the house of Chris. Claire shows Chris some tape with a dude. Now I checked out who that guy was, the one who leaked that information in the tape. He came out in the game of Resident Evil 2. He had a considerable amount of time, but in the remastered version of the game, Mr. X just fucking wrecks the guy in his jail cell. Some of you might remember the guy, but I surely didn't. But that's a fun fact for you guys. Chris doesn't believe her and thinks she is crazy, and especially because, well, he isn't too happy with her since she ran away from the orphanage that was shown in the first part of the film. Chris leaves the house, and that's where shit gets creepy again. A kid breaks into the house, and his mom is now a zombie. The mother becomes pissed and starts attacking Claire with all her zombie might. Claire wins, and it's shown that the kid is also sick, which means he's probably going to be a zombie. She escapes and gets to the motorcycle of Chris. Now this part, when the light of the motorcycle gets turned on, it's when I was flashbanged. That's where I knew something like this was going to happen again, but I still hoped it wouldn't. We're back at the police station with the Alpha team that is there to meet with Chief Brian Irons, which he reports that Team Bravo went MIA, missing in action at the Spencer Mansion, which if you gamers know the franchise, then you'll know that this is the main place for the very first Resident Evil game, which is another of the many references to the game franchise. The amazing and incredible Alpha team is composed of Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Richard Aiken, and Brad Vickers. Also, Albert Wesker, who are sent to the mansion via helicopter. Now let us go back to the police station where Leon is just jamming to some pop music at the front desk asleep. And the entrance of the station is right in front of him, okay? This scene, ladies and gentlemen, shall become the best scene in the This scene, ladies and gentlemen, shall become the best scene in the film industry. This scene will be no match for Tenet, Goodfellas, and The Shining. This scene beats out all those amazing films. What proceeds to happen is that the truck driver is slowly becoming a zombie while driving his 18-wheeler. He starts crashing onto other cars, just drooling and mouth breathing the whole fucking trip. And then all of a sudden he fucking flips the truck in front of the station. The truck just fucking explodes and is now on fire, which does not even wake up Leon. The earthquake-like vibration of the explosion does not wake up Leon, not even a twitch. Then the truck driver, who is on fire, is now walking. The truck driver is completely on fire, just walking towards Leon with some sort of Ariana Grande song playing in the background. This flaming guy almost reaches Leon before Chief Irons just shoots the dude in his head, which wakes Leon up. That wakes him up. I just wanted to say that this scene felt like the director was giving us the middle finger, like, hey, look at how shitty effort I can put into this. The director must have been so happy to fucking make this shitty scene. It's so fucking bad and out of place. I really want to know what he was thinking. Chief Irons is like, what in the hell the fuck shit was that? Seems like the director is making fun of the people who paid to see this movie. I gotta get out of here. What actually happens is that he packs up with his green car to leave the city. This segment is probably the best for me since it's just simple and nice, although that is because the standards of judging what is a good scene in this film are really low. He's listening to Any Way You Want It by Journey as he heads out of the city. He gets stuck like behind a car, and then the people who are like guards just start shooting the car, just straight up. There's some weird thing that bothered me though. When they are shooting at his car, the glass that is getting shot is fake. The bullet holes on the window of the car like CGI, so it looks really bad as this scene plays out. The Umbrella Corporation had actually placed guards outside the city, shooting on sight of anybody trying to escape so they can attempt to contain the outbreak, hence why Chief Irons was actually being shot that whole time. He returns to the station and somehow two infected dogs appear there in the garage, there with him, then they start to attack him. Chief Irons now has no ammo in his revolver, so it's looking pretty grim for him. Thank God that Claire Redfield intervenes and shoots the dog, saving Chief Irons. We are back with the amazing Alpha team, having entered the mansion to discover it is overrun by zombies, and the Bravo team has been killed by them. Chris and Redfield are together to discover what has happened to the Bravo team, while Wesker is with Jill going towards the library of the mansion. Richard just gets fucked sideways, like there was no like build up, he just gets fucked by the zombies, which leaves Chris by himself. And this is the scene that was like promoted before the release that comes right after. Chris has his MP5 and a lighter inside like of the dining hall area, which is just completely dark. Then the lighter goes out, so all you're seeing now is the gunfire lighting up the room and giving us glimpses of what is happening. The new Batman film by Matt Reeves did this with the hallway scene in the dark where the gunfire shows what is occurring. But in Resident Evil, I felt like it was just too much. I think the director was trying to see how many audience members he could give epilepsy to. I do not have epilepsy myself, but my head was starting to hurt just slightly with such rapid flashes of light from the gunfire, which made me wonder whether this scene was worth it. I think it would work on paper, but the execution is just horrible for this scene. I do not even know how Chris is just able to start firing and spraying, just being an expert shooter in the dark, but hey, the director seems to not give a shit about this movie. Wesker with Jill are now at the library when there is a revelation that occurs which sends seismic vibrations on Earth. Before that revelation though, the pilot of the helicopter, who is Vickers, is actually playing Snake on his Nokia type phone. He was so invested in the game of Snake that the zombie sneaks up on him and bites him. Wesker gets the secret passage open from playing the proper notes on the piano there, which might be another reference to the game franchise presumably. The helicopter light is seen through the windows, and then Vickers, who is now basically infected, just just nosedives into the library, which has Wesker and Jill going for cover. The burning helicopter is just there in the library now, with the ashes of the books floating in the air. The CGI here is just horrendous, extremely bad, and it's like sticking a fork in the eye of the audience just seeing that set. It seems like a music video set because of the lighting and how the ashes are floating in the air, also with how the fire is just there in the library. Wesker is all fucked up with his gear and clothes torn due to the explosion. The revelation, which I mentioned, is now going to be revealed, which is Wesker is actually working for somebody else with the sole purpose of stealing Birkin's G-Virus, which explains how he was able to know about the secret passageway that leads to the lab that he is looking for. Then he will book it out of the city before it is destroyed. Wesker goes in onto the passageway he opened while leaving Jill by herself. Back at the station, Leon and Claire get themselves some weapons, and Leon goes to check in on the man who is locked up, which is actually Ben. Yes, the guy who made that tape, which got Claire to go to Chris's house and basically Raccoon City. Ben is planning to be let out from his cell, and even takes the gun from Leon and points it at him. But then Ben gets put to eternal sleep by the infected dude that was in the cell next to him. Somehow that zombie bites him because Ben was just dumb, and now Leon has to shoot him and just kill him. Obviously, when Claire comes in to see that Ben is dead, well, she was not so happy. And if she thought that was bad, wait till she gets a hold of the zombies that have managed to break into the station. Due to this prompts the group at the station to ditch it, and now this group, which remembers is Leon, Claire, and Chief Irons, now head towards an orphanage for some reason. That would be the last place I would think of hiding. Now, just for some context, that creepy lady thing with a sort of mask thing over her that appears in that orphanage scenario, her name's Lisa Trevor. Now, this is a girl that Claire saw in the flashback, like from the first part of the movie. Just some context since it's important. Once they start exploring this abandoned orphanage, this more mutated thing appears, and it is a liquor. Such a classic to have in a movie. Seriously, I actually appreciated that. The liquor starts to attack at them both, but there's some sad news in which I have to give you audience. The liquor takes the life of Chief Irons. Then somehow this strange character that's named Lisa jumps on the liquor, just straight up killing it. Lisa recognizes Claire and shows them a locked door that will lead them to the lab, so Lisa gives Claire the keys to open it. They also see some more of the kids that were experimented on by Birkins, which is obvious that Lisa was one of them. The keys are actually based off the game franchise. I mean, come on, another Easter egg. Why? Why can't they just be normal keys? But at the same time, it's nothing big. I kind of like the way they look, the keys. So it's kind of nice, I guess, to see them in the movie. But anyways, they open the passage and start heading towards the lab. Wesker obviously ends up at the lab since he had found the secret passage, and he finds Birkins there with his family. He gives the order to Birkins to hand over the precious and very valuable G-Virus, but Birkins is like hell to the end and no. So he grabs the weapon and fires at Wesker. Wesker shoots back, and then he shoots the wife of Birkins since she was gonna shoot him. Wesker, this man just was like, fuck it, fuck my humanity, fuck my ethics, I'm just gonna shoot to kill. I just shot like the fucking mother and father of this little girl named Sherry. Literally, this little girl just saw her fucking parents go bye-bye. He's even about to shoot Sherry since she is pointing a gun at him. Now, luckily for her, well, Jill appears and saves the day by shooting Wesker, just straight up killing him. Now, Chris, Jill, and Sherry get out of the lab, but they do not know that Birkins is actually still alive, and he starts just injecting himself with the G-Virus so he could keep on living. Birkins, now injected with the multiple vials of that stuff, starts to mutate and stalk Chris with Jill. They are heading to the train since that's the fastest way to get out of the city before it's destroyed by the Umbrella Corporation. They get a bit of a delay because of the explosions occurring on the top side, which gives the mutated Birkins the opportunity to catch up to them. They are on the train and Birkins gets there, ready to kill as he grabs Claire. Then Claire just stabs the face of Birkins, which makes him let go of her. Chris tries to kill Birkins with the bullets, but they don't really do much, and now Chris has no more ammo. But then out of nowhere, Leon gets a rocket launcher. Now, let us look at the area in which he will be shooting. He is inside a train, first of all, and it's not very large. It's a really small space for what he's going to be shooting. Third of all, Birkins is not that far away from Leon. He and everybody there would fucking die, and it doesn't take a genius to know this. This director must have no fucking brain neurons to rub together to realize how fucking unrealistic it is, right? Leon shoots Birkins with the rocket launcher, just killing him for good with nobody else harmed from the rocket launcher. They destroy the whole city with the corporation stating there were no civilians left alive. They escape via the train tracks, leaving Raccoon City to its ruins as they leave. Now that is not all. There's a mid-credit scene that has Wesker in a body bag, and he wakes up but is unable to see anything as he drops to the floor freaking out. Then this character comes out and it's Ada Wong, who gives Wesker those iconic shades of his. So he sees now, and that is how it ends. Now that we are over with the movie, let us bring in a prime example for this film to compare. I'm sure most of you know that there's a franchise before this about Resident Evil. They are not the worst, especially the first few, and I will mention that the quality does really go down a cliff in the later movies of that franchise. The thing that makes those movies unique is that they were loosely basing it off the game franchise rather than being fully dependent on it like this film. This film is heavily reliant on the game and is hoping that the people who love the game will just solely focus on those neat Easter eggs rather than realizing how bad this movie is. I think the reliance that they have on the game franchise is bad, and I feel like they do this to hopefully put a disguise that this movie isn't as shitty as it really is. This is why I think that the older Resident Evil films are better, because they're just loosely based off the game, and try to make it fresh by not solely depending on the game franchise. My thoughts on these films are quite obvious, and I'm sure that you can guess what I thought of this film. To be honest, it is not good, it is a piece of shit film. Is it those movies that it is so bad that it's funny? No, it's an actual waste of time. I personally felt saddened that I had to spend money to watch this piece of shit film. The few scenes of the movie that are funny or entertaining are not worth any amount of money to pay to see this movie. This is a movie that is surprising. I feel like a fan-made film with a smaller budget would be better than this, which just shows how bad this film is. The scenes that are there, the scenes in the movie sometimes just feel like they're there. Like, they're confusing, they don't make sense. How does the plot work sometimes with these scenes? If this movie is available for free, then I would say, if you want to waste your time and do something less productive than literally doing nothing, sure, there will be some scenes that might make you laugh. This movie should be seen if it is free and there's nothing productive to do, then it would be an alright watch, but I'm sure even then it will make you wonder why you wasted your time seeing it.
Well, after talking about this film in such a way, I can't help but think what you found good about this movie, Oscar. What are some of the good or better things you found about this movie, Oscar?
Well, essentially, there were some things that I enjoyed, like the actor who played Wesker seemed to be a good cast, and Chris, well, he's kind of easier to cast, but it was a good choice. Ada Wong seemed to be a good casting choice. The scene with the truck driver that is in flames while playing a pop song was actually funny, to be the truth. The scene with the truck driver that is in flames while playing a pop song was actually funny, to be honest. I will say that the Easter eggs, which are frequently popping up, are okay when you're able to recognize it. I do not think that most people actually like this film, including those who are big fans of the Resident Evil game franchise. I'm wondering when we will get some good quality game movies. I mean, there's a good example of the Sonic movies. Those are, in a sense, based off games, and they're really good in quality. I mean, in terms of box office, they've been doing really great too. I feel like the Resident Evil franchise would have bigger chances of being better since it has abundant source material available for them to pick and choose to make a movie from. I do not know when that is going to actually happen, if I'm honest, but there are some series being made by Netflix which look rather odd, to say the least. You can be sure that it will be reviewed on The Tomorrow Show with Sweet Dreams AM. But the games themselves have been going strong for quite a good while, with a good looking future, with the upcoming release of the DLC for Resident Evil Village and the Resident Evil 4 remake coming soon. It just shocks me how the film recently released was not good at all. The verdict that I have upon this film is that it's really bad. It's just bad. And I would say that it's not even worth paying any dollar amount to see this movie. Let me mention a message in regards to the specials of interview time on The Tomorrow Show with Sweet Dreams AM. Now, these are supposed to be specials, which means if I can get a guest, then the episode will occur. That was just a message that I wanted to clear up now. With that over, Nicky Kane, roll the music. I hope you all enjoyed this episode reviewing Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, which was a disaster of a movie. Now I want to apologize for the mic issues. Hopefully I can get this fixed by the next episode. As always, I hope you listeners are doing great and had some fun with us on Sweet Dreams AM Live. Remember to be on the lookout for the new episodes of The Tomorrow Show with Sweet Dreams AM. You can be sure to expect more upcoming episodes. Now let us close this episode. Bye bye.